Started. Get this program rolling. If you could please quiet down, I want to bring the inductees in, please. We're going to bring all the inductees in as a group. I'm just going to read them off. It's Beth Anders, Dave Haar, Vince McEnany, Indian Joe Neiman, June Olkowski, Stan Peffel, Mike Quick, Hatzi Reinfeldt, and Don Tollefson. And the two deceased honorees tonight are Sam Cozen and Jim Maloney. Could you please come into the hall? Thank you. Here come our inductees for this evening. inductee that's going to be late is Don Tollefson. He's going to be here as soon as he gets off the air or something.
Right here. We have our name tags for everybody.
Did you want Mrs. Maloney up here?
She didn't want to be up
She
here.
didn't want to be up here, I was told. But I want her to come up. Yeah, she's going to have to come up to get the award.
You want her up here sitting?
No, she didn't. She
I was told she didn't want to sit up here.
You want her up?
I wanted her up here. All right, we're going to get started now. I'm going to turn it over to the MC for tonight. Our MC tonight is going to be Mr. Bob Caesar. And thank you. Enjoy it and have fun tonight. And I'll be talking to you later.
Ladies and gentlemen, if we can take our seats, if everybody can get down, I would like to bring up Father Rudy. Here he is over here.
Over here? Yeah, but where's this tape? Where's this?
He's over there.
Over here.
Over here.
Father Rudy, and to give our blessing.
May I have your attention for a moment, please? May I ask you now to join with me in a moment of silent prayer. Father in heaven, we are grateful for your many gifts to us. Tonight we are grateful for this occasion in which we gather in the spirit of friendship and camaraderie. We are thankful for your gift to us of life, friendship, good health, your presence in our lives, your God-given talents which you've shared so generously with us, for giving us the gift of courage and perseverance to produce those gifts to the best of our abilities. Father, we are grateful. We ask you now to be present to us tonight through the spirit of our inductees, through their courage, their perseverance, their endurance. We ask you now, Father, to bless this food and those who will share it together in love. We ask these things through Christ our Lord and Savior. Amen.
Thank you. My pleasure. All right, if everybody, you have your ticket, would you please fill out the bottom of the ticket, because the waitresses will take that for your meal. So the bottom of your ticket, just put your name on there. We appreciate it very much. You need the bottom of the ticket.
Name and address.
Well, they should put, they see what
As it is. The other thing I just want to reiterate is about the high school all-star game. In the program, I know Bobby mentioned it, is the date of the game, the date of the banquet. It'd be nice if some people could attend. There's also 2 complimentary tickets on the table to that. We help sponsor scholarships for that. So if you could attend it, it'd be greatly appreciated.
I would like to announce that Dan Stafiri is here from the University of Pennsylvania, and he's the recruiting coach for the freshman team. Danny, take a bow, please. University of Pennsylvania. Two cards again.
Sometimes 2 cards. He did, Dan. What's your membership on joining? These are on all the tables, all right?
For the,
membership.
if you'll notice on your table, we have a membership application for the Pennsylvania Sports Hall of Fame, and it's only $5, and we would love for you to be involved with it, because it really keeps us going with the state and the city. So if you would just fill one out, and we'll get back to you on this, we'd appreciate it very much. Football. and gentlemen, we would like to start our ceremonies tonight with the induction of the new Hall of Famers. And at this time, our first inductee for the night is Beth Anders. She's one of the great coaches today at Old Dominion. She's her 17th.
Calm the crowd down, Bobby. You can't hear.
Can we have some quiet, please? She's in her 17th season at the helm of the Lady Monarchs field hockey team. She has 862 winning percentage and 348 wins to her record. She's at the top of all the field hockey coaches in the NCAA history. She was involved with the international level. She's a bronze medal winner in the 1991 Pan Am Games. Beth Anders was the 1998 CAA Coach of the Year and the NFHCA National Coach of the Year. Beth, will you please come up and accept your award?
Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Just hold it up here.
One more, Beth.
Thank you. Can we say something?
Take it, Bill.
First of all, I would like to congratulate all tonight's inductees and thank the selection committee for recognizing my achievement and honoring me with this award. It is quite humbling to realize that you join quite a distinguished group of sports figures who have previously won this award. When you get to this point of your career, by no way do you stand by yourself. There are several people I've shared this journey with and who have made a difference in my life. They are my parents, my teammates, my friends, my coaches, my co-workers, and of course my players. They have meant an awful lot to me, and they will never know how much they really have meant. First, I'd like to recognize my parents. If gaining skills to lead one's life purposefully and providing a safe nest is a legacy of parents, then I believe I've been most fortunate. My parents have provided me with a very strong foundation built on very solid ethics and morals. And they also have shared with me an independence to feel that they believe in me, and no matter what, they felt that I had the answer inside. It would honor me a great deal if you would honor my parents, Mr. and Mrs. Stanley S. Anders. Athletics are invaluable. They offer things to individuals who want to be committed. I've always told my players, and I believe in it, that it doesn't matter if you win or lose a game. It will not make a difference in your life. But why you play and how you play will make a difference in your life forever. I hope in the future generations, these young players have the same opportunity and the same chance that I've had in sports to play the game with passion and enjoy themselves and a desire for excellence. Thank you.
The second inductee was a great, great high school basketball coach. He came from South Philadelphia High School, and he played varsity ball at Temple University. He coached at Overbrook High School. That was where he really made his name. And he coached some great, great players like Jackie Moore, Hal Lear, and Wilt Chamberlain. And it's one of the great things that he could go to Drexel University, and he taught there. and he was just a great, great man in the city of Philadelphia. And at this time, I would like to bring up his son, Stephen, in order to accept the award for him. Steve?
Steve, just 2 shots.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. When I think of Sam Cozen, I think first of the human being, and then and only after I think of him as the human being, as the father, as the husband, as the brother that he was, do I think of him as the teacher, the coach, and the mentor that touched so many lives of young people here in Philadelphia. The fact of the matter is that while he did a great job at Overbrook High School, as the chief well knows, he did an even better job at Drexel University, where he took Drexel to the Middle Atlantic Coast Conference title 15 years in a row and went to the NCAA tournament, small college tournament it was called in those days, 4 or 5 times. He has the all-time winning record at Drexel, and I think maybe that's why Billy Hurrian went on to where he went on, because he knew he'd never match Sam. But he was a tremendous influence, and I think that's what he will always be remembered for on the lives of so many young people. My dad's philosophy was pretty much crystallized by Grantland Rice. If you recall, it was Grantland Rice who said that when the great scorer comes to write against your name, he writes not if you won or lost, but how you played the game. And that was Dad's philosophy. Sports just happened to be his vehicle to teach and to influence, to build character and morality. School, summer camp, teams, those were his individual accumulation points. That's where he could access the most young people. I think next to seeing the Sam Cozen Powell Center at 17th and Brown Streets, in one of the worst sections of the city where we have 2,000 kids day in and day out and not one drop of graffiti on our building. Every basketball tournament that Powell has is played at that center because it's got the best floor in Philadelphia. Would have been one of his proudest things, but he could not have possibly been prouder than to have been accepted into this group tonight with these people here and the people who have gone before him, and to have his family, his grandchildren, his nieces, his friends, and his sister, who's 85 years old here tonight, would be a wonderful, proud moment for him. I think at the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, Mother Teresa got it right. Mother Teresa said that it simply is the human condition that individuals cannot make great contributions to mankind. What they can do is, if they're really terrific, is make a lot of small contributions with great love. Sam Cozen's contribution with great love is manifested in the faces and the careers and the lives of thousands of young people that he touched. And I'm very grateful to all of you, and particularly Bill Escher, for honoring him here tonight with this great group of people. Thank you very much. Our next inductee is David E. Haar, and he was a Germantown High School graduate, and he was a scholar athlete there. And he played at Franklin and Marshall, where he was co-captain of the football team in his senior year. He got a master's degree from Temple University, and he continued at Beaver College and Penn State University. He was the director of athletics at Upper Dublin High School for 25 years. He's listed in the Who's Who in the American Foundation. In 1992, in the District PIAA, Outstanding Leadership and Service to the Principals, Athletic Directors, Coaches, and Athletes of District 1. At this time, I would like to present David E. Haar.
Okay, thank you.
You want to take two pictures? You'll get a copy of the picture and you'll get a video.
I'd like to thank the members of the chapter and also all the members of the Pennsylvania Sports Hall of Fame for honoring me tonight. I had a checklist before I came of 3 things. 1, dress properly, suit, coat, and tie, shine your shoes, I don't spit polish anymore. Cut my hair, although some of you say I shave it, but I always have it cut. And the 3rd thing was, don't rattle on, say something that has maybe some meaning and that comes from inside me. No man or woman can go it alone. You can't keep your house in order alone. You can't raise your children alone. You can't do much alone in the community or at your church. And as an athlete, you can't go alone. As a coach or an athletic administrator, you can't go alone. And I say to you tonight, I have never been alone. I've always had many people who have worked with me, been beside me, and walked with me. We share the same philosophy of life, and that is decorum, discipline, and a sense of individual responsibility. We also have the same athletic philosophy, especially at the high school level where I work. But high school athletics is important, very important. We all wear the same jersey, the same color jersey, but when they turn around, the names are different. And these people that have been with me are my co-workers at Upper Dublin High School, the administration, and the professional faculty. And there's no doubt about it, as an athletic administrator, I have to include the transportation department, all my support groups, the grounds crew, custodians and secretaries, because together we could do something. Also my extended family that's here tonight, my in-laws and their spouses, my nieces and nephews and their spouses, and my immediate family, 3 daughters and a son who've traveled South Bend, Chicago, Nashville, and Schwenksville to be here. They've all been with me. And also my wife, who never said to me, hey, you going up to that school again? What are you doing 2.5 hours before kickoff? What are you doing 2.5 hours? Well, you know, you have to meet the officials, and I like to be in the locker room and pat the boys on the back. I mean, there's a lot of things that the athletic director has to do. When we met when we were sophomores in high school, modest interest in athletics. After 47 years of marriage, she keeps on me all the time. Who's playing? Now, she'll know the Flyers are going tonight. And then how about Villanova? And how about West Point? And how about Notre Dame? Are they going to get Carroll or aren't they? And even the Sixers. She knows the Eagles, Mike. She knows the Eagles well. by number and position. Who's playing right corner? How about that D-back? She has it all down pat. I think recently in March Madness, she was for Temple and Casaga, or whatever that was. And I'll tell you, she knows them all. Not only in athletics, but my wife and I have had 47 wonderful years. And she's back there. So on behalf of all these people that I mentioned, I stand before you representing them. Although I get the plaque, I needed them. I needed them badly, each and every day. But on behalf of all of them, I thank you on behalf of me and behalf of those people who I mentioned. Thank you.
Our next inductee is Jim Maloney. Jim was a great, great high school basketball player. He was all-city at Roman Catholic. He played at Niagara and was a great basketball player there. He was an assistant coach, well, he was a head coach at Niagara and an assistant at Maryland, and of course at Temple University for 23 years. He coached with John Chaney, and they had a wonderful, wonderful relationship. And everybody, I understand at Temple, just thought he was the greatest coach around. Jim Maloney coached 689 basketball games at Temple University over 23 seasons. Can I please have his wife, Barbara, come up to accept the award along with John Chaney.
You're a nice person.
Oh, there we go. Oh, nice. One more time. Thank you.
Go ahead, you can talk first.
You want me to talk first?
Yeah. And then John.
I had to write some notes. Jim would be so honored by this award and your generosity. On behalf of my children, who unfortunately could not be here this evening, and on behalf of Jim's family, his sister Nancy and his brother Jack are here this evening, I wish to thank the committee for honoring Jim in this way. And my thanks also to Bill Escher, who was so thoughtful in nominating Jim for this award and for this honor. Jim so loved the game of basketball, it was his passion. He loved playing the game, but even more, he loved teaching it. He loved teaching and coaching others, from his high school team to the college teams and even to his own son. His passion for the game began here in Philadelphia at Jesu Parish, and he played in the schoolyard when they allowed him to at St. Joe's Prep. He tells me about all the times he was told to get out of the yard. He played at Roman Catholic High School, and that's where he had the opportunity to continue his education. And we met at Niagara University. When he entered coaching, he longed to be back in Philadelphia. Someone once told me the Philadelphians are like homing pigeons. They always come back, and he was so excited to come back to Philadelphia, to the Big Five, of which of course I had no knowledge, but he was so happy to be here, and of course he was at Temple. He was a humble man, and he worked very hard at being a good assistant coach. He loved Temple University, John Chaney, and Dean Demopoulos, and mostly the players that he coached. He dearly loved them. This is such an honor for Jim that you recognize his passion and his knowledge of the game and the many contributions that he has given to the game. And for that, we thank you very much.
This is one of the most difficult things for me. It's a great night for so many people here, and I found it very difficult. I always felt that that people that I love and people that I grew up with, like Janome and Teddy Creightonfield and Gavin and Ronnie Cohen, so many guys here. And Jim Maloney, I always hoped that I could pass on first. I always wished that I could die first, because I've always been a very selfish person. In every sense, I've been very selfish. I talk about testimony of the deed when I talk about Jimmy. When we got to the Final Eight again, this time for the 4th time in 11 years, and having to face tough teams once again, I said to Al McGuire, I said, boy, I wish Jimmy was here. When he congratulated us from beating Duke. He was always the first guy I thought about. I remember so many things about Jimmy, you know. He used to write down everything that I would say. I'd come with a theme every day, and Jimmy would write stuff down all the time. He has maybe stacks of books like this, Bob, of things that he wrote down that he figured that I was lecturing and talking about. And he always said, you don't even know what the hell you're saying. So I'm just going to write it down. And he would write it down verbatim. And he would always hold a thumb rule up for me to follow each year in terms of starting off with dotting the I's and crossing the T's. He would never allow me to skip along, regardless of what talent we had. It was always how you start is how you finish. I can remember the first time he told me that his wife was Italian, so I always go down to the Italian markets. And every time I go down there, that's where I was raised. My mother used to walk me up and down, and if I was a good boy, she'd buy me a pork sandwich at George's window. You know, the bags were a penny a bag, and they would always rip apart somewhere along the line. But this day I went to Giordano's, and the guy gives me a big container of broccoli rabe. Now, he knows I like broccoli rabe. So I bring it back to school, and I bring in a big bag like this and say, take this home to your wife, because he says, what is it? I says, don't you worry, your wife is Italian. He took the broccoli rabe home, and I think it stayed in the refrigerator. Barbara didn't know what to do with it either. Another story I must tell you. He said to me, you know, he says, you know, I would come to school at times. And I said, boy, my wife don't let me sleep, no nothing. We get up early in the morning, she don't let me sleep. He says, you know what my wife does? He says, you know what, I get up early in the morning, when I go to the bathroom, when I come back, the bed's made up. I said, can't imagine, you mean white folks do the same thing as black folks? But the greatest one of all, I have to tell you, is that, well, there's two. I'm going to tell you one. Jimmy, you know, when we played Penn, with Matt playing for Penn, all week long we'd prepare to play Penn. Well, Penn had never beaten us since the first time I came there. When we beat Penn, I guess that was the first time, Gavin, in a long time. So Jimmy jumped on my back. He was so happy because he figured Penn people are snobs and whatever. So we're going to play Matt and them. But Jimmy would leave our practice and go over to Penn's practice. So I accused him of taking information over to Penn. And you know, Jimmy, I mean, if you ever accused him of anything, it was wrong. He was a God-fearing man. There's no way you could accuse him of being dishonest. Never. But he'd go there, and what I would do is I'd plan every day, because I'm always devilish. I'd plan every day that when we're planning to stop Matt, I would scream, and Jimmy would just, you know, he'd sit and he'd cross his legs over here and back and forth. He'd get upset with us. Get that Matt, stop him, dude, break his arm. I don't care what you do, stop him. The night we were playing Matt, we were playing Penn at home, and I think, you know, Jimmy had sat down and talked to him, and he'd always talk to him about fundamentals and everything, but he got just as squeamish as he could be that night when we would play Penn, and him squirming around and crossing his legs. And I remember that so much that every time I leave a chair open for Jimmy, even today, and I find myself reaching over to talk to him from time to time. The greatest thing of all is when I lose games, and this is when I missed him most this year. We went through a stretch where it looked as though you're stuck in mud. You know, you win and you think you're hot shot. You start smelling yourself. And then you start losing and you don't know where the answers are. And only thing you know if you're a hard worker is just to work. You don't know all the answers, like all the spinners talk about do this, do that. You just know that you gotta maybe get up a little earlier, work a little late, and just work a little hard. Keep driving the kids more, because they don't know what's in them. So you just have to keep driving them. But there are times when I'm losing, and I would find myself in the office, and I'm in there cussing and fussing. I'm cussing in the office, in Jimmy's office, and Jay and the guys are next door in that little office. And I'd say, oh man, the Lord don't like me no more. To hell with everybody. I'm cussing at him. And then he heard me saying, Lord, I hate you and stuff like that. Jimmy would walk right into the office, and he'd say, shh. I said, what the hell? Shh. He says, Coach, you got to understand. The Lord, sometimes the Lord is late, but he always comes. I said, get the hell out. What a man. What a teacher. And he was the epitome of repetition. He would make the kids do things over and over and over. And I developed one thing from him where I said, if you can develop a good muscle memory in teaching the kids how to play this game, how to shoot a basketball, that you could develop this great muscle memory in what they do, you would find that they would be doing it without knowing what they're doing. And it was because of Jimmy and his teaching that we stick with the thumb rules in coaching. The laws of learning, repetition, repeat it over and over and over, and try to transfer it as much as you can into each of your lives as much as you can. But he was somebody very special to me, and I certainly wish that I could have died before him. Thank you.
Our next inductee is Vince McEnany. Vince and I, we were counselors together in a camp, and I would say there wasn't a day that went by that we didn't beat up at least 32 kids. He taught me how to be a mean person. Vince was a great football player at LaSalle High School. He played at Westchester, and he was a tremendous football player at Westchester. He attended Temple University. It's hard to believe, but he's been coaching for 36 years. He was at West Catholic for 8 years. He was Cherry Hill West for such a long time and turned out so many great teams. He won over 244 games. And in 1962, he won the Catholic League and City Championships. He was the Philadelphia Coach of the Year in 1962. He was the Kodak Coach of the Year. During 1980 to 1990, Vince has produced such great players as Dwight Hicks from the 49ers, All-Pro John Taylor, 2 times he was an All-Pro, Billy Griggs from the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Jets, David Griggs from Miami and San Diego Chargers, Greg Marks from the Jets and the Eagles, Darrell Wilson from the Canadian League, and Todd McNair from the Kansas City Chiefs. He really did an unbelievable job, and at this time we'd like to honor Vince McAnany. Vince.
Smile.
2 minutes, Vince.
2 minutes. Thank you, Bernie. Oh, sorry about that. Thank you, Bernie Caesar, Mr. Toastmaster, our honored guests at the head table here, friends and relatives of these great athletes at the head table. You know, I've been very fortunate through the years to receive a couple of awards here and there, especially my one at Westchester, which I cherish in the Hall of Fame. But I am elated, I'm excited, I'm ecstatic tonight to receive this award. See, Philadelphia is my hometown. I was born and raised in Philadelphia. I was here till I was close to 40 years old at West Catholic and teaching and the whole bit. I went over to Jersey. But everybody asked me, where are you from, Vince? I'm from Philadelphia. And I just love the city of Philadelphia. When I can say that I am in this category of this elite table, and the guys that passed before me, when I was a kid, 12, 11, I would go to Temple Stadium and sell papers, Municipal Stadium and sell papers, Franklin Field and sell papers, Connie Mack Stadium or Shibe Park, whatever you want to call it, and sell papers to see guys like Bud Sutton, Bill Jones, Norm Waldman, Indian Joe Neiman, Stafiri, Bill Bernardo, Reds Bagnell, Reds Coletta. They were my idols. They were 5 or 6 years older than I was. But these were the guys that I wanted to be like. But I didn't have the God-given talent to be a great, great player. And I said, how can I ever be like these guys? I said, maybe I could be a basketball official or a football coach. And to be just on the same page of these immortal guys at this head table. The one guy that stands out in my mind, they all do, but one guy that really stands out, when I was at West Catholic for 8 years, the greatest official that ever worked football, and I've had some great ones in the 300 games I've been involved with, when Stan Peffel walked on that field, we knew one thing, we would have a fair game on both sides of the ball. Mr. Peffel. I could never receive this award without so many people helping me. I've had so many great players, so many great teams, but they could play the game, and I think I directed them in the right way. But without great players and without great coaches helping you, you could never achieve these kind of great things. And there's one guy here in the audience tonight who will represent all the players that I coached through the years. If there was 50 a year times 36, figure it out. Tommy DeFelice. Tommy. I would also thank my 4 beautiful sons. Went to Bishop Hughes Prep High School in Jersey. They supported me and they were with me. Maybe I should give them more time, but I was always out officiating or trying to make a buck, coaching football, whatever. My oldest son, hold the applause till it's all over, I know we're time schedule. My oldest son, Vinny, out of Princeton University, a chemical engineer. My second son, Gary, out of Versailles University, a CPA. My third son, Timmy, head coach at Eustis High School right now, economics major out of Georgetown University. And my fourth son, Terry, out of LaSalle University, a communication major who's part owner of the Marriott Hotels. He's a busboy down there. They got a new rule in, as we know. The first year my brother John came in 92, we had friends introduce people that got in. And I was there for John, introduced John. It took me 45 minutes to introduce John, and he spoke for 45 minutes. It was an hour and a half, and there was 8 of us there. They put a new rule, they call it the McEnany rule. One guy introduces all those guys, and no friends again. So Vince Trombetta said, if I talk too long, he's going to get the hook. I'd like to thank my 4 brothers who supported me playing and coaching through my career in the sport of football and basketball. My oldest brother Tom, who lives in North Carolina, couldn't make it. My second brother, after me, I'm second. Third brother Bernie, he's up in New York State. My fourth brother John, who's been in the city for a lot of years, and my other brother Joe, who was here. John's wife Sheila's here also. I would be remiss if I didn't say about 15 seconds, Bern, about John. Is that okay?
Exactly.
No hook. Exactly. I've been around football a long time. This plaque I'm receiving tonight is half John's. I've been to many clinics all over the country and spoke to a lot of them. John was my right-hand man at West Catholic. We've been right-hand men through West Catholic, Frankfurt High, Washington High, Northeast High, Pennsauken, Cherry Hill. We're on the phone 5 or 6 times a week. I could have never achieved this award. I said at many banquets, Tom Landry, Don Shula, Vince Lombardi, Vince Trombetta, John McEnany is the greatest high school coach in America, in my opinion. My wife Holly, who supported me for the last 10, 12 years, thank you, Holly. Last but not least, my mom and dad. My mom is 93 and she's staying with John right now, and she was going to come tonight, but she had a little little cough. I said, Mom, stay home, take a little bit of whiskey. But she's a teetotaler. And my dad,
You got the hook ready.
Get the hooks coming up. My dad, he died a lot of years ago, but my mother and dad never made me watch, play a game, coach a game, whatever. I know my dad's having a cold beer and a shot of whiskey a night. My mom is happy as heck. My wife told me a little thing about 4 years ago. Yesterday was history. Tomorrow is a mystery. Today is a gift. That's why they call it the present. Thank you for the gift. God love you.
I want you all to know that that wasn't really John McEnany, it was James Cagney. The next award winner, an inductee, is a man who I respect so much because he was my high school football coach. He not only was my high school football coach, but he eventually got me to go to Germantown Academy, where he was going to coach me there too, but it so happened that he left while I was still there. I don't know why, Joe. Joe played at Frankfurt High School. He was an all public league back. He was also all-state. He was a great football player. He went in the service and he played in the service. And he played in the all-Army team when he was in the service, and when he came out, he went to Temple University. When he was at Temple University, he broke all kind of records. He won the Maxwell Club Award. He did all kind of great playing afterwards in all kind of different leagues where he won all awards there. He went to Olney High School where he coached me there. Then he went to Germantown Academy, and he had a great success there. And then he ended up at Cheltenham High School from 1961 to 1968, where he was a super successful coach. And then he became a scout for the San Francisco 49ers. He's a member of the Temple University Hall of Fame, and at this time I'd like to introduce the next inductee, Injun Joe Neiman.
Joe, look up.
Here we go. One more. Thank you.
Okay.
I want to first thank the committee for selecting me. A number of people said I should have been here long ago. Now it's about, we're going back 50, maybe 60 years. 1940 at Frankfurt, and before that with the Pop Warner Sandlot Sports. I'm not an Indian, by the way, but certain things happened recently that I may be qualified. As you know, the Washington Redskins are having a problem with the American natives. They want that Red Indian out of there, and they have a right for that. The Indian red crayon, they want that off there. Well, there's a connecting story here where I fit. At first I was going to ask to have the Indian taken out because of these events. But in recent years, I have a daughter, Dr. Grace. She worked for the Hopi Indians for 7 years. She built a beautiful hospital there, a clinic. She was on a mission. Harvard graduate, and wanted to give something back to the poor. After 7 years, just recently, about a year and a half ago, she decided she completed her mission. And the Hopi Indians had a big powwow, and they made her a member of that tribe. Now you figure it out. My daughter now is a member of the Indians, so I think I qualify to keep that name Indian Joe. Now she, of course, went from there, she went to Aspen where all the billionaires are chasing the millionaires out of town. So she went from the poor to the rich. Now the next person, my mother, I lived over there in Bryceburg. Our home, we called it a house, we didn't call it a home. We had a dirt road there on Almond Street. My father passed away in 1933, and I was 11 years old. We had 6 children in our home. Some of the authorities wanted to put some of the children in an orphanage. My mother couldn't speak a word of English, nor could my father. And she decided she didn't want the children to be separated and kept us all together through the Depression. At that time, there were no stamps or welfare or unemployment compensation, so it was a real hard deal. I actually am a dropout. I dropped out of school for about 6 months. Took a job and to contribute toward buying some food for the family. And an event happened. The factory that I worked in burnt down. I went to work one day and there it was, leveled. And I came back home and my mother thought I got fired. She said, "What happened?" I told her in Polish. At that time, I was starring with the Pop Warner League, and I was playing with the heavyweights, and I was the youngest kid on the All-Star team. They had this All-Star game out at Baker Bowl, and Joe Tomlin, who was the starter of the Pop Warner, founder of the Pop Warner football, he had a bright idea, and he said, you know, we'll get this young kid, he looks like an Indian, he plays like Jim Thorpe, let's call him Indian Joe. So the press, like Ed Pollock and a few of the other people, and the Bulletin, Jack Ryan, they picked that up real quick, and Joe Tomlin found like 8,000 people at this All-Star game. It was a big hit. And from that time on, the Indians sort of stuck along with me. Now I had a decision to make. I was out of school, and Elwood Geiges, my high school coach. Elwood Geiges, I think, was the greatest football coach in the Philadelphia area. Elwood Geiges was my mentor. He was my father, really. Guided me, counseled me, and made me what really I got to be, a good football player. I knew one thing, that I wasn't an A student like all my grandchildren. They all come home with A's on their, show it to me, say, look all this. All A's, they're brilliant kids. Well, I never saw any report cards like that. But I knew one thing, there was only one way to get to college, through football. And that paved my way into Temple. Get back to my mother. I was heavily recruited. And one time, one recruit coach came in, was Frank Leahy. He came to our house through the front door, came on a Sunday. Our front door was only open on Sunday. And he got through there. He sat down in our kitchen. My mother was looking. He said, "Who is this man?" And I said, "He's a coach of Notre Dame." She didn't know Notre Dame from Shinola, really. But she offered him a piece of babka and a cup of tea. He was sitting there in the chair and looking, staring, and I communicated, "What's he saying?" He said, "Well, he wants me to go to Notre Dame, to college." Well, my mother was like a 5th grade graduate. She didn't know a college. None of my brothers or sisters went to high school, so college was like a new word. She looked. Frank Leahy said, "Look, tell your mother that I'd like to take you to church." And my mother looked at him and looked at me. She was highly offended. She said, "I didn't teach you to go to church by yourself?" And tell that man that. I said, well. So we went to church, and after that, that was it. Now, a few months later, Josh Cody from Temple University came. And some of you know Josh. This southern, jolly gentleman, big tackle. He sat in the same chair, but only he came on Monday. So he had to come down the alley and come in the back door. Josh sat down there. My mother offered him the babka that was left over from Sunday. He ate it, drank the tea, and smiled to tell your mother, "This is really good stuff." I told my mother that. She said, "There's the man you want to go to. Where? What college?" That's great. So Temple figured into it, but actually before Josh came, when I was at Frankfurt High School, you know the conditions we had economically at home. Temple was there first. They were there when I wasn't the all everything. And jobs were available, and Temple was there first. And my mother went back to that point, and she said, "Look, these people were here helping us when we needed them, and you should go where the need came from." And my mother was a devout Catholic. She went to Mass every morning at 6. Got back before 6:30, before we woke up, and made whatever she had to make. Was there to be. So actually, when you look at it, the mother, for John Chaney, recruit the mother and don't go after the player. And I think John knows that. Now, going down the line here, Geiges, Elwood Geiges was a great official, football and basketball. He invented, maybe some of you don't know, in the 30s when you played football, the referees, they had no signals. Touchdown or backfield in motion or whatever. He was the first official institute hand signals in football. So we have it first right here with Elwood Geiges. He was more like a father to me, more than a father. Great man. And if I receive this award, part of it should go to Dr. E.A. Geiges. Now my family, I've been married 52 years and still am married. I'm married to, Elwood Geiges gave me this advice. He said, Joe, marry a bright and beautiful girl. And that's what I did. I went to Temple and met my wife, Nikki. She was an instructor there before she even graduated. She taught the physics and the chemistry and the sciences. So if any of our kids have success as far as the academics, you look to her. My wife and I, we both love each other as much as we did before we got married and after we got married. It's 52 years. And Dave was up here with 47, and I don't know if there's anyone up here that's going to crack the number, but we're here. Let me say I have 3 beautiful children. I've talked about Grace. I have another doctor, my son, Dr. Joe. I know there are some patients out here because they did come up and say, how's Joe doing? I asked them how they were doing. He's just he's a LaSalle graduate, by the way, Vince. All right? And my wife graduated from Temple University and taught there. He's an Olney, former Olney graduate. We have Olney people here. We have Frankfurt people here in big numbers, and Temple people here in big numbers. And now to the children, I have one other girl, Joyce, and she is the director of our camp business, which we have had for 47 years. And so we have 2 doctors and a rec leader. Now to the grandchildren, listen, I told you that they overlooked me the last 25 years. I'm going to outdo John Cheney on this thing. They owe me about 9 minutes. Now the grandchildren have a young Joe, Indian Joe II at Penn Charter, everything in football there, lacrosse, and he is on his way to Notre Dame. So we got a Notre Dame guy going here. And John, he's at Germantown Academy, and he's sophomore, and he'll be doing the same as his brother as far as athletics and schoolwork. And then I have 2 young guys, 7 and 10, Gregory and Michael, and they're in soccer and sports, but all of them, all the grandchildren, with all their sports, are straight A students. Thanks for being patient.
Our next inductee is June Olkowski. She's a native of South Philadelphia High School. She attended St. Maria Goretti High School. She was a great player there. She was voted first team All-Catholic League, and she also made the Parade magazine, Street and Smith, the best player in that area, and the McDonald's All-American teams. Choosing to play for Rutgers University, and legendary coach Teresa Grentz. She co-captained the Rutgers team that won the AIAW National Championship in 1982. She was named a member of the Kodak WBCA All-American squads. She also made the Street and Smith preseason All-American. She's a great athlete, and we're very, very happy to honor her tonight, June.
By the way, she just got moved up. She's just announced that she's going to be the head coach at Northwestern University.
Joe, I forgot my speech. Only kidding. No, we can joke like that because he's Polish. He already told me that, so. It's a humbling experience to be up here with all these people, with such great athletes and such great coaches. You know, right now I think I'm in here because of my playing days, and that's all I really wanted to be, was known as a player. You know, it started out dribbling a 76ers promotional rubber basketball, dribbling in between the stop sign and the fire hydrant, going to Second and Jackson to play. Who knew that I would be in a situation like this, being inducted tonight? I hope, like Coach Cheney said, I had to write it down because I want to put it on my T-shirts. How you start is how you finish. And I hope that my career started very successfully, and as a coach I hope it finishes very successfully. I have a lot of people here tonight, my family, way back in South Philly in the last table back there. It was easy for them to get to the bar and to the men's and ladies' room. But, you know, Beth had said about family, and I wouldn't be here right now if it wasn't the support of my brothers and sisters and my mom and dad. How many dinners served late? When I was little, you know, girls, we didn't play in regular uniforms, we had tunics. My sister used to iron my pleats so my tunic would look perfect. And my brothers taking me over to the schoolyard and telling me that I played like a girl. I promised them I would never play like a girl. You know, I just want to thank them and my parents, and they've been supportive of everything, every move that I've ever made. And I've been a lot of places, University of Maryland as an assistant, and went out to Arizona, then went to Auburn, Auburn University, and then went to Butler University, and now I'm at Northwestern, which I'm very, very proud and glad I have a second chance to coach in a great conference like the Big Ten. You have all of tickets to the Philadelphia City All-Star football game. Please check out a D-back from the prep, my nephew, Keith. Thank you very much.
Our next inductee is Stanley Peffel. Stanley was, like it was mentioned before, by almost every coach that coached in the Philadelphia school system and everywhere else. What a great official he was. He's originally from Frankfurt High School, and he attended Temple University, and he has so many awards for so many things he's done in the past. And I remember him doing the Army and Navy game every year and being a great, great official there. He's probably done so many games. He was in the Liberty Bowl, the Cotton Bowl, the Orange Bowl, and he did so many things that were so good for kids in the city of Philadelphia. He was the head of phys ed in the city of Philadelphia. That's where I got to know him real well when I was coaching. This time, I'd like to bring up the next inductee, Stanley Peffel. Stanley.
you, Bernie. Terrific. Here, I'll put the chair here for you.
I can stand
okay?
up. I can stand up, yeah. How much time do I have?
About a minute. 1 minute.
First of all, I wrote a little things down here. I'm going to put those in my pocket mostly because, first of all, I'd like to express my sincere appreciation to the Hall of Fame here for including me in the group of awardees tonight. I really appreciate the honor. It's a great honor, and I appreciate it. I had some remarks not jotted down here, but to tell you the truth, I've had such a hell of a good time tonight. Speaking to all my friends here, I didn't know I had so many friends in Philadelphia. Coaches, officials, NFL officials, and so forth. I spent a career of 35 years in officiating in college ranks, but these guys all went on to the National Football League where they make $12,000 for a Super Bowl game. I can remember working 8 games in 1 week with one uniform my wife washed every night and ironed the next morning before I went to work, and making $40 for 8 games in 1 week. That's back in 1930s. There's so many people that I've met tonight that renewed our relationship either through coaching, players I coached at Central High School when I was there, people that I helped get in the school system as coaches of Philadelphia, including the McEnany, John McEnany that Vince alluded to, and a lot of other people. But tonight I've been rewarded with the remarks that they've come over and gratuitously made to me. It's been well worth it. The trip up from Florida yesterday to be here tonight to just hear that from your colleagues. I would be remiss if I didn't pay my due respects and thanks to my family, my daughter and her husband, Kurt and Marge Kahn over there, and my son, Bob Pepple, whose wife got sick tonight and couldn't make it, and my dear friends from Atlantic City with whom I'm bumming the time while I'm up here today and tomorrow morning when I'm going back to Florida, Jim and Joan Riley, dear friends from a long period, and a guy that I officiated, I don't know how many games with. How many, Jim? Plenty. We were veterans of the Catholic League in Philadelphia that Vince alluded to, and also I spent 20 years in college, major college football games, working from coast to coast. It's been a real pleasure for me to be here tonight. It was well worth this flight up from Florida and worth the one back tomorrow. It's a pleasure to be here and be welcomed by the Pennsylvania Hall of Fame. Thank you again to all of you.
Our next inductee is just a great football player.
I had to be here when I heard you were on that program. Same year.
He's a great football player for the Philadelphia Eagles. Everybody knows who he is. He's been an All-Pro for many, many seasons. Among the active NFL players in 1990, Quick ranked sixth in receptions, 4th among wide receivers, and 5th in scoring among 9 kickers. He also had made at least 1 reception in at least 61 games in which he has played. I remember when he played at North Carolina State, and he was a great player there. I was fortunate enough to be with the Eagles when he was there, and many times I had the pleasure of returning tickets when he took too many tickets for his family and friends. But Michael is an outstanding player, but above that, he's a wonderful person. And at this time, I would like to bring up for induction into the Hall of Fame, Mike Quick.
Thank you, Bobby. Thank you. Thank you. I had a very long speech like Indian Jones, but I've been told to keep it short, and I really have no problem with that. I'd like to thank the Pennsylvania Sports Hall of Fame for selecting me, and I'd like to congratulate all of the inductees. I think it's a great honor, and just very happy to be here. I mean, you know, like this coach said, who would have thought? I mean, I was drafted in '82 by the Eagles, and you know, I never expected, first of all, to make it to the Pro Bowls and to do all the things that I did in football, and then to now be inducted into the Pennsylvania Sports Hall of Fame. And I think it's a real honor. I've been fortunate, and I've had a lot of great opportunities in my life, and playing for the Eagles is just one of them. And you know, I got an opportunity to play with. I'm so happy that Harold Carmichael was able to make it here. You know, he was one of my idols. I was a kid watching football. I'm very serious, and I would see Harold Carmichael playing football. In '82, I'm drafted, and I go to the Eagles, and I walk in the locker room, and I look up, and it's Harold Carmichael. And I'm just a wide-eyed kid, and I'm just so excited that I'm in the same locker room, and I'm dressing beside Harold Carmichael. And you know, like a lot of the other inductees said, there's nothing that you can do by yourself. You know, especially a team-type sport. And I've had a lot of good people around me throughout my life, people that have helped me to become what I am, whatever that is. They've helped me to become that, the good and the bad, and I appreciate those people. You know, this is a real Philadelphia flavor type banquet, and I could tell that right away. I'm hearing all of these names from the past, and excuse me for my ignorance, but I know very little of these names. I'm from North Carolina, and you know, as Bobby said, during the football time when I played, I always bought tons of tickets because we always had an entourage coming from North Carolina to see me play. But right now, I mean, I'm just happy that I was invited to this big Philadelphia party. You guys always throw good parties, and I'm happy that this time I got an invitation. I'm also fortunate in that WYSP has hired me to work on the Eagles broadcast. The guy, thank you. And again, I'm matched with one of the best in the business, Merrill Reese, who's probably the best play-by-play guy ever. I think the night got a little long for him, and he left. He was at table 15, and I know he had some of his books out in the parking lot, and he was probably out peddling some books. But again, I have a great opportunity to work with Merrill Reese, a great guy, and a great opportunity for me to get back into sports and around sports again, and I'm very fortunate, very pleased at that. And yeah, I'm also pleased that so many of you showed up here, because you know, I got an opportunity to play sports because other people were there to kind of pave the way for me. And by your show of support, there's going to be a lot of young athletes that the funds from this banquet will go to and help them to further their athletic career or scholastic career and help them to improve their life. So thank you one and all for showing up, and thank you for inducting me and having me here tonight. Thank you.
The next inductee into the Hall of Fame is Harold Hotsy Reifeld. Hotsy is a legend in the city of Philadelphia for one reason. When he went to Temple University, where he was a great, great basketball player, he used to walk down Broad Street, and you always knew which way the wind was blowing from the way he walked. He made sure his hair never got blown the wrong way. That's really what he was a legend of. Hotsy was a great, great high school player, not only basketball, but baseball. He had one of the best batting averages in all of the city of Philadelphia. At Temple University, he was one of the captains, and he won the Temple's Outstanding Leadership Award. He played many, many years at Frankfurt. Many, many, many years. Many years. He started on Temple's basketball team and baseball teams in 1953 and 1956. He also played 2 years in the Army, and he was on the baseball team with such players as Willie Mays and a bunch of other players. He was a teacher of health and physical education in the city of Philadelphia and coached some terrific basketball teams. He won the Eddie Gottlieb Award in the city of Philadelphia for the Philadelphia basketball old timers. He's one of the most outstanding people in Philadelphia. He's one of the most dearest friends that I have. And at this time, it's such a pleasure to induct Otzi Reinfeld into the Hall of Fame.
Okay.
One more, guys. Thank you.
There you go.
After all this time, like, I get up here, like 20 people left. I've been trying, like for days, to come up with something. They said I had 3 minutes to come up with something that where I wouldn't put you to sleep in 3 minutes. But when I walked in here tonight and I saw all the people here, and more importantly, when I saw all the people here who were here for me, I can't even begin to tell you how moving it was for me. I'm telling you, because everything that's important in my life is in this room tonight. In my family, my wife, Florrie, who I would hate to think where I would be today without her. Not only that, we've been married for 37 years. If anybody belongs in the Hall of Fame, it's her. I'm telling you. And of course, the two absolute lights of my life, my daughter Leslie and my son Bruce. You know, we talk about sports, and I participated many years ago, but it's like a blur. And it's not so much the participation, but it's what I got out of it. And what I got out of it has made me a very, very happy man today. And like I said, everybody who's in this room tonight, and is so important in my life, is what I got out of sports. Sports, you know, you play a game, you forget about the games of so many years ago. But what these people have done for me is absolutely wonderful. I can still see, I have people here tonight that I could still picture when I was 11, 12 years old running around the street, Levick and Large Street. There were no playgrounds then, so we ran around the streets playing. Short pants, or when I say short pants, I think I'm talking about sunsuits. Remember the old sunsuits? They're here tonight. And I'm going back, I mean, like I was a phys ed teacher. I can't even count to my age, and like tonight's my birthday. I'm telling you. And I went to Frankfurt High School. My friends from Frankfurt High School, with whom I've maintained a relationship all these years, like over 50 years, are here tonight. People who I love dearly. That's what sports did for me. I have friends here that I've been close with, that I see all the time, and it would never have happened for me had I not participated in sports. But there's also a gentleman here this evening that I would like to pay my respects to. I can't even begin to overemphasize the effect that he had on my life, and that was my college coach, Harry Leway. I'm just tickled. I'm just tickled to death to have him here tonight. And he hasn't been all that well, and he took the time out of his life to come here, to be here with me. And I was the kind of kid that kind of got off track a little bit, because to be perfectly honest with you, I was not a great student. I did not particularly care for school. I think my daughter took after me. But I'm telling you, I would get off track. This man would put me back on track. I don't think in the 3 years I played for him at Temple that we ever talked basketball for maybe 3-4 times. It was always, you got to get back on track. And he'd emphasize the education and getting a job and earning a living and having a family. And you know, the interesting thing is, you know, my life has really paralleled his life, because he was a teacher, I was a teacher. He coached basketball, I coached basketball. Not on the same level as Coach Ledlack, but I coached in high school. And he was a camp owner, and I was a camp owner. So that says a heck of a lot for this man, because I took everything he said literally and kind of like made something out of it. And Coach, I owe you an awful lot. Thank you. And in closing, I would just like to say there are certain things that are important in this life, and I mentioned my family. And for me, I can't put a price tag or a value on my friends. I have my friends here from George Washington Senior High School that came here tonight, including my department head, Barbara Thumler, who probably the best department head in the city of Philadelphia. She's here this evening. And my friends from Commonwealth, the golf club I belong to. And let me say, fellas, no, I didn't get a pass from the nursing home to be here tonight. Which is what they give me all the time. My dearest friends, they're all sitting at the same table, just too many to mention their names, and I just want to thank you for your support over the years. I thank you for your friendship, and I thank you for making my life an absolute pleasure to live. Thank you.
The next inductee into the Hall of Fame is one of the top broadcasters in the city of Philadelphia, Don Tallison, and one time did such a great job in helping us start the high school all-star football game. He gave us all kind of help in the beginning. He was one of the few sportscasters would come out and actually do interviews with the kids. And now he's on Fox 10 o'clock news. He's been in Philadelphia for a great time. Yes, you're not with him?
No, I am. No.
Oh, okay. I thought maybe this was wrong. I don't want to tell you. Better don't go back too soon. He's the former sports director of WPVI Channel 6. He did the Ray Road Show, and he's not only that. He's just really a wonderful person to have around in the city of Philadelphia for the kids, and of course for the professional athletes and everyone else in the city of Philadelphia. At this time, I'd like to bring up our new inductee, Don Tallison.
Thank you, Bill. Thanks, Bobby. That's all right. You got it. There you go. One more. Thank you.
I could be extremely popular in this room if I started and ended with thanks, and I'm tempted to do so because I'm worried. Cozy Morley may have a show booked in this room. You never know. My friends Lou Capiella and Joe and Eddie, the guys from Summit Post to the Hall of Fame, They could miss last call at the Kowalski Post on Schurz Lane. There are many reasons why we have to get out of here very rapidly. I'm off the 10 o'clock news, so I'm going to stay. What a treat it is. What a pleasure it has been, and I mean this seriously, to listen to these stories about what sports has done for the people at this head table in this room. What a pleasure it was to walk in to Dugan's with the great John Chaney, only to see the great Harry Litwack. This is a special evening that I hope all of us should cherish. And I feel deeply, deeply honored to bat, if you will, 11th in this lineup of remarkable people. But I'd be remiss, and I'll try to do this as quickly as I can, if I didn't just mention a few people that are so important to me in terms of any accomplishments I have. My late parents were very instrumental in me getting involved in sports, and it wasn't until my mother was deceased, my father fortunately was still alive and lived a few more years, but it wasn't until she was gone and he was older that I realized they got me into sports for one reason, and it wasn't to have fun, and it wasn't to experience athletic success and failure. It was to realize that when you put on a uniform, regardless of race, creed, or color, everybody else was a teammate. Everybody else was a teammate. They weren't black teammates, they weren't Spanish teammates, they weren't Asian teammates, they were your teammates. And I now understand more than ever, because as each day passes, I grow more committed to that ideal they instilled in me, that the beauty of sports, the tie that binds us together, is the fact that sports is still, with all of its faults and shortcomings, the area of our society that is most colorblind, where the ability of the individual, the ability of the team, and the similarities on the inside count for far more than the surface differences we have on the outside. So I accept this so gratefully on behalf of my late parents and the way they instilled that in me. And very quickly, I also accept this on behalf of two other groups of people, my gang at Fox. As the media relations people in this room can attest to, I have a great group of guys I work with at Fox Television. And I'm so grateful to the veterans like Al Schreier and Andy Doherty and Jimmy Gallagher, who welcomed me to this town 25 years ago and made my job easy. But for those of you who know them, Billy V, Bill Vargas, and Shredder, and Booney, and Matt, and Paulie, and Rob, the guys I work with, I accept this on behalf of them because they give me the opportunity to do what I prioritize in my life, and that is, as Bobby mentioned, try to work with kids as frequently and in as many ways as I can. I also want to accept this on behalf of the overall sports media in this town. And I think we should leave this room applauding Bill and Mike and Ted and the other people from the Daily News, because the Daily News gets it. It doesn't devote 100% of its attention just to professional athletes. It devotes a lot to the kids, and in particular, Ted, with what you've done with high schools, it's remarkable. And I accept this on behalf of sports media people like that. But finally, in closing, I accept this on behalf of the kids that I have been fortunate enough to be around and continue to be around all over this city and this tri-state area. And in the program that takes me into the schools and the rec centers and the PAL centers, like the great Cozen PAL Center, I'm so fortunate to be around the kids. I have this little program called Winning Ways, and the kids so enrich me because they are colorblind. They are not full of hatred, but compassion and love and respect for one another. They want to see the kind of a society all of us need to be working more dramatically and tirelessly to bring us to in a new millennium. And I just close with this thought, because I'm all pumped up. I want to stick around and hear some more stories, and hopefully Dugan's will allow us to have an adult beverage. Vince will probably buy me one, hopefully. But I close with, very briefly, two thoughts. One is I couldn't help as I thought of Beth in those great years, 1984 in particular, in LA, when 90% of the women's Olympic field hockey team was Philadelphia women. I mean, and then I think of June in Immaculata College and the history of women's basketball. And I mentioned my mom very briefly, and she was a woman, a female athlete at the time. That was very, very difficult. You talked about tunics and all that, but it was difficult. It was cute when you were little, but it was weird when you became a teenager. And I just hope all of us leave this room with an even more defined dedication to women's sports, because the greatest achievement, I believe, of this century in some ways in this country, or most recently the last 25 years, has been it is no longer something where a girl has to beg to be a high school athlete. I think it's the greatest change in sports in my lifetime. is that now they don't get hand-me-down uniforms and second-hand buses and practice times and facilities. So let's lead making sure that there are more and more women involved in sports. But whether it's a boy or a girl, now I believe that strongly. Whether it's a boy or a girl, let's march out of here tonight collectively, back onto the boulevard, realizing that whether it's at 2nd and Jackson where a kid is dribbling a basketball, 17th and Brown where a kid may be hitting a baseball in the city park across from Coase and Powell, or 4th and York where I work at a remarkable school with the children of West Kensington who are fighting all sorts of battles. There are kids who deserve a chance to play sports, get an education, grow up with a safe, secure environment, and become the colorblind, non-hateful leaders of our society in the future. Let's make sure we do all we can individually and collectively to give them the chance they deserve. Thank you. This means so much to me, and let the post-game festivities begin. Thank you all very much.
We're going to end this pretty quick. We got a couple of more things we're going to do. We're going to have the raffle, but before we have the raffle, we have one special award that we're going to give out, and I want to bring up a very good friend of mine, a guy that helped us start this many years ago, and who was the creator of the All-Star Game. And I'd like to bring up my friend from Florida, Mr. Ralph Recapito, who's also our chairman of the board.
Thank you. I'd like to also congratulate all the award winners, especially two people who had a direct impact on my life, Vince McEnany and Stan Peffel. Really both had a big impact on me. Tonight, my task is a joyful one, is to honor a member of our organization who has been with us since we have started this group and has been a tireless worker. He's been the secretary of our organization, taking care of all the mailings, and I think his main job was to keep Milt straight, and anyone who could do that certainly deserves an award. He's going to be leaving Philadelphia, coming down to Florida, and I'd like to present Ed Brain with this special award.
Thanks, Ralph. Hey, give the lifetime award.
Okay. I don't know what to say. This is a complete surprise. They gave me one of these last year because they thought I was out of here last year. But I did sell the house, and I'm on the way.
Hey, thank you, Ed.
Thanks very much, and I'm certainly going to miss this group, and maybe I'll start a sub-chapter in Newport Richey, Florida. I have another duty here before I get out of here, and present lifetime awards for Harris Bach, if he's here. Would he come up? Loretta Bunch, Harold Carmichael. Harold, thanks very much for your support. Jerry Evans, Dr. Ray Moyer, Hatzi Reinfeld. Thanks, Wayne Rogers, Jack Ruane, Lou Tilley, and Nick Trainer. And Joe Yoakum. I know Joe's here. We now have 97 lifetime members. I would ask that you entertain the idea of becoming a lifetime member. Then you won't get bugged with a $5 dues notice every year. Thanks very much.
All right, now the last thing that we're going to do is have a raffle.
Thank you.
Go ahead. How many things do you have?
Where's the order he wants to put them in?
Yes.
One, you can just follow the number.
You should do
Which one?
You should do the helmet last.
You want the helmet last?
Yeah, do the helmet last.
Well, which is first?
You got the helmet, but do the helmet last. That'll keep them here.
All right, we're having a drawing for the autographed Philadelphia Phillies bat. Compliments of the Philadelphia Phillies. Michael. 595-8936. 595-8936.
Make sure it matches.
Is there anybody here? Who has it? All right, look who got it. Way to go.
Any money above?
Go to number 3. Autograph.
An autograph Philadelphia Eagles banner.
Cash it in.
595-8953. 595-8953.
Last 3 numbers.
Where's this going?
977. 977 is the last 3 numbers. 977.
We got it. We got it.
You got it?
Very nice. Bam. What are you going to do next? Keep going, Bob. You're right.
Number 4.
Yeah.
All right, now Maxwell Football Club's 1999 college and pro winners. 854. 854. 854.
I hope I can call you Hotsy because it's one of my favorite nicknames. 854.
2 deluxe, 2 tickets, deluxe box, seats for the Phillies versus the Pirates. 909. 909.
I have no idea.
909.
Thanks, I'll see you. Say hello to all those.
There you go.
2 tickets, deluxe box tickets, again to the Pirates, with VIP parking. 931. 931. What, 010? Okay, there you got the 2 tickets to the first Eagles preseason game.
And all of you know that these players came from a great community with great family support. And the thing that I appreciated as a coach was the fact that they got their training in the teams that you developed over the years, and coaches like Leroy and the rest, and Pennell and Joe and the rest of you started coaching these fellas in the fundamentals, and you sent them up to us with good skills, and so that was a development in their character. And most importantly, they went to a school with tremendous school spirit. We played most of our games, any game that we played away, we would take 6 and 8, 10 bus loads of parents and students to the games, and we would always outnumber the home team, and we had that kind of support the entire season. And I remember the school spirit, never forget it. Whenever we won a ball game, make the bus driver come right up Ridge Avenue, open up all the windows, and we'd start making that bus shake. We're from Roxborough, couldn't be prouder. If you can't hear us, we'll shout a little louder. And that bus would just rock all the way up. Great team with great team spirit and great character. And this team is unique in that way. And it is, Mr. Chairman, it is with great sincerity and admiration that I present the 1963 championship and co-city championship team for acceptance and induction into the Roxborough High School Sports Hall of Fame.
This is going to be like a little bit like Duke here from the script. Well, on behalf of myself and my former teammates, I would like to thank Ron Halley and the induction committee for this honor. George and I are accepting this award on behalf of the team's accomplishments throughout the 1963 championship season. No single individual earned this award. It was a team effort throughout the entire season. From the first practice to the championship game, we worked together, developing our skills in order to perform like a winning team. If any individuals should be singled out, it should be the team's coaching staff under the direction of Fred Hauser and the late Ernie Mowbray. Thanks to their patience and dedication, they developed us into a championship team. Tonight is a special night for all of us. It is an opportune time to rekindle old friendships and reminisce about the special times in our lives. I thank you again for the opportunity to accept this award on behalf of my teammates. Thank you.
Duke, I got the microphone. I got to tell you, with all this weight I lost, have you seen my teammates? I'm the smallest lineman now. As we celebrate this great honor, I have to thank the athletic teams before us who helped build a winning attitude at Roxborough. The 1963 team stood out from the others because of its tremendous amount of team spirit and desire. When we won our Thanksgiving Day game against Germantown, it was the 15th straight victory for the Indians since 1961. And I look out in the audience, and I can't help, and I'm so proud of this guy. He grew up in my neighborhood, and on that 1961 team, the quarterback that took them undefeated was Billy Petrellis. And Billy, I'm really glad to see you here tonight. Thank you, 'cause that's what I think of him. All these accomplishments coming from our school with the smallest enrollment in the city. This team was unique from the standpoint that during most of the season, 7 boys played both ways. As the season progressed, the reserves were getting better. Each week, and through hard work and practice, began to substitute, and we never missed a beat. We were a team. The way I feel about with Bobby's expressions, I'd like to be able to call my teammates and coaches to come up and stand with Bobby and I. And please hold your applause till everyone is named. I'd first like to name the teammates who couldn't make it here tonight. William Bray, Raymond Kane, Joseph Cannon, Ernie Clark, Frank Foz, who was a manager, Howard Hansel, John Heiser, Warren Kaufman, Joe McGee, Franny Rashowski, and Paul Spencer. These guys are no longer with us. Jerry Hieronymus, John Morris, Michael Reesberg, John Schilling, and Sammy Seal. Sammy died of meningitis before our season started. And I don't know if most of my teammates can remember that experience of going to that little white church for that viewing. Joe Toner was a JV coach. He was also a head baseball coach. And boy, Ernie Mowbray. I know anybody that's ever touched this man dearly loves him. Moose, I know you're here with us tonight, and we think the world of you. I'd like to bring, if I could, I'd like to start, and please guys come up here, because this is how Bobby and I feel, because this surely was a team effort. If Coach Jack Spittle will come up, please, and hold your applause till we all get up here. Jack, please come up. Oh, I can't even read this. The guy that made it all happen with spiritual and physical guidance, Coach Frederick Hauser. Tom Angstad intercepted 2 passes in the Overbrook game. These are all little contributions to the year. David Black scored a touchdown to seal the victory over Edison. Bob Butler, the junior halfback. Leo, my wife calls me Michael Califano. He had a key role in the victory over Germantown and played a heck of a game against Bishop Egan. This guy said Frank to me. Francis Sotero, a junior lineman. Louis Caffone, a junior lineman. Dennis Daly, dependable performer and offensive guard throughout the season. Ronnie Darlington tossed 11 TD passes that year and was an all-public honorable mention, RQB. Harry Feigl, the junior lineman. Richard Fleming scored 4 TDs, 2 on long punt returns, also was an all-public honorable mention that year. I haven't personally thanked or seen Bill Harcher, but I'm sure he's here. Billy? Billy was a manager on our team that year. It's great to see you here, William. Paul Jones caught 3 touchdown passes during the year. Levering Keeley, capable replacement in many decisive games. Cappy Knight, a junior lineman. Franny Ludwig, a junior lineman. See, Duke, they're starting to get a little smaller now. Mike Piston stopped many enemy threats with his interceptions and his fine tackles. Tommy Solomeo, junior halfback. Jerry Strauss, a junior lineman. Gary Sylvester helped the cause with his fumble recoveries and hard tackles. Harold Wentz, our great punter and offensive end, also played defensive safety and was the most valuable player in the championship game. Bobby, if you'll stand up with us. Guys, you were the 63 team, and we're very, very proud.
And while they're still standing here, we also have a citation honoring and commending the 1963 Roxborough football team. The Council of the City of Philadelphia hereby congratulates the 1963 championship football team on the occasion of its induction into the Roxborough High School Hall of Fame. Whereas the 1963 football team was the only football team in the history of the school to go undefeated since Roxborough's entry into the public league. And whereas the 1963 team also was the only football team at Roxborough to win the city championship, sharing the title with Bishop Egan High School. Roxborough's record was 10-0-1 for the season. And whereas the team, which was coached by Hall of Famer Fred Hauser, produced many all-public, all-city, and all-scholastic players, and included Hall of Famer George Katzenbach. Therefore, by virtue of this citation, the members of the Philadelphia City Council do hereby commend, honor, and congratulate the 1963 championship football team on its induction into the Roxborough High School Sports Hall of Fame. We commend each and every member of this team on their victorious season and historic championship. Gentlemen, congratulations.
Would the football team please stay here? Please. Thank you. I would like our inductees to stand. Some of you have been trying to get pictures. If you're fast, if the football team members over there could sort of come in here and we could get you all together, and if you would please stand. There are some people who would like to come in and get a picture of the group. Okay, can we do that? Stand up, please. Here, I have to do that. Come over here. I'm going to sit down and duck behind him or something.
Little guys on one hand.
However you want to do it. Just try to squeeze in as tight as possible.
Yeah, one knee in the front, guys. Watch the cramp.
Any other reasons?
Come on, Michael, get in there.
Okay, about 5 seconds to get that last shot in. Okay, thank you very much. Inductees, yes, you may take your seats. Yeah, you may, would you like to, yeah, you can go back and sit at your tables. Stay? Please stay then. I need George and Bob back up here, please, and if you'll have a chair, have a seat. There you go. If you would please bear with us, we have a few minutes.
Thank you, dear. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
That's what she said.
Gentlemen.
We have your attention, please.
Thank you, George.
Thanks, George.
Ms. Chabert is waiting for quiet here.
How'd you guess?
I wish to thank Michael Nutter for coming this evening and presenting the councilmatic citations. He has been a friend to Roxborough High School, and he has been a friend to education in the city of Philadelphia. And for that, I thank you, and I will turn the mic over to you
Thank you so much. I just very briefly wanted to again commend and recognize all of the inductees, congratulate them for their service and their induction this evening. Secondly, want to certainly recognize Acting Principal Henry Marmer, former Principal Mr. Liston Knowles, and the Roxborough High family. I had an experience today that for the little over 4 years that I've been in office has never happened to me. I started my morning with Roxborough High at the session at the school this morning, and I'm ending my evening with the Roxborough High family. I don't think I've ever started and ended a day with the same group of people, but it's a pleasure to be involved. And I just really want to say to you that it really is an honor to have been asked to participate in such a tradition and such a great event. It really means a great deal to me, and I look forward to continuing the relationship and working with you. To the young people who are here tonight, some of whom I may have seen this morning, you have a fine tradition in Roxborough High and in this Sports Hall of Fame, and it's all that we can do to support you and help you to go along your way, but recognize that you have something very, very special here in the 21st Ward, and I'm glad to be a part of it. Thank you so much.
I wish to thank the inductees for thanking the committee for being inducted into this Hall of Fame, and I really wish to make it clear that the members nominate and the members vote for those who will be inducted into this Hall of Fame. This is a plug for you to join the Roxborough High School Sports Hall of Fame. Do it today. If you don't do it today, there is a membership form on the inside cover of your program booklet. You will then receive nomination forms. You may then nominate someone. You will receive a ballot at the end of the year. You will vote for those people you wish to have inducted into this Hall of Fame. I will speak for the committee. It has been a pleasure to do the work, or do this work, and make it possible to have this affair for such a fantastic group of people. We thank you for your contributions to Roxborough High School. Without you, we would not have Roxborough High School, and therefore we do this gladly. And now, Mr. Hubbard.
Well, we've arrived at the close of another glorious evening where we've honored an outstanding group of inductees. And I'd like to have everyone one more time as they stand. Let's give all of our inductees for this evening another round of applause. This is a day that finally got here, and there was a time in December, and you can sit again if you want to. You don't have to stand all the time talking. There was a time in December where I kind of had my doubts as to whether or not we were going to get to the point of having any inductees. I think all of you who are members will probably remember this. The letters went out, first of all, it was around Christmas time, so it got caught in the Christmas mail. Then we had some bad weather, a couple of days where the mail wasn't delivered. And believe me, I mail myself a ballot too, so I get an idea of what's going on. I put them in the mail, and a week later, no ballot. 2 weeks later, I didn't have a ballot. I think 3 weeks later, I still didn't have a ballot. I talked to some people, and they said, yes, I got my ballot. And it seemed like by letters of last names, they went alphabetical order. It seems like some of them went out or were delivered, and some were. And it seems like I think the H's probably were the last ones that went out. It finally took so long that we had to extend the deadline in order to make sure that we got all the ballots back in. Well, it turned out not to be so bad after all, because we probably had our greatest response this year that we've ever had. We wound up with over 70% of the ballots returned. So once again, we thank the membership for all you did to help to have our inductees finally inducted tonight. The day started out, as was mentioned, with the assembly program, and it really was a great day. The kids at the school were really interested, and some of them were quite curious about what the Hall of Fame Club was about. I already had a couple of our senior athletes this afternoon say, well, if I pay my $50, can I become a life member? I said, yes, that's it, $50 to become a life member. So we already have some of the seniors who are ready to join, and I told them that they are going to be the future of the club, and that we need them to join and be active. They will, the seniors do all receive, for the first year, to receive a complimentary membership for a year, and we hope they will continue. We came on into this evening, and I know for myself, I got a chance to meet a lot of new people today. I finally got a chance tonight to see the 63 football team. I've heard so much about them. I've seen some pictures of them, but I finally got a chance to see most of them in person. I'm really glad I got that chance. I'd like to say to Esther, we know the ladies are coming, and I'd like to say, ladies, keep on coming, because one of the things the committee would like to see, we would like to see more women inducted into the Hall of Fame. And I think one of the ways in which we can do that is if we can get more women to join the club and to nominate the women and vote for them, then we will have more women in the club. So we know that there are quite a few outstanding female athletes through the years at Roxborough High School, so we'd like to know about them and have them nominated so that they can be placed on the ballot. There are a few people I'd like to thank. First of all, if you've seen the young men walking around with the camera, they're here with Bill Brown, who happens to be in charge of our video part of our communication corps. Bill, where are you? I can't see for the light. Bill's here somewhere over here, and his young men are here with the cameras, so let's give them a round of applause. I'd like to thank our hosts for this evening, who happen to be Joe and Bart D'Angelo. And I guess the greatest tribute I can give them, if you ever want to have an affair, get in touch with Joe and Bart, because you'll have some good people to work with. They'll look out for you, and they'll see through if you have a first-class affair, as always. So Bart and Joe, we'd like to thank you once again. I have to say one thing to Joe, though. Tonight was our largest group, and if it continues growing, Joe, I think you're going to have to put an addition on here, or you won't be able to house it. So maybe we'll help you to get a larger place. One final reminder, there are videotapes which will be available, and they're being done by Joe Malizia, who's over here with the big camera with the bright light that makes me unable to see. Joe does an outstanding job every year videotaping this affair. And for those of you who are interested in obtaining a videotape, they will be available, and you can get them through me at the school. You can either drop me a note, or if you call the school and ask for me, you'll get me. I could give you my direct phone number. You might forget it. I'll give it to you anyway. If you have a pencil, want to write it down, it's 487-9266. So if you're interested in getting a videotape, please feel free to contact me. I'd like to thank all of you, and we're not going when I finish, because we still got a great treat. We've got to do a school song and a few other things. But I'd like to thank all of you for coming tonight. I hope that all of those of you who are not members will consider joining the Hall of Fame Club. You will be the ones who will help to make us even stronger and make our things even more successful. Those of you who are friends and family of the inductees, we thank you for coming out to honor such a fine group of people. I know we're very happy you were able to be here with them, and we're happy you were able to come. I hope everyone has a safe trip home, and I'm going to turn it back to Loretta now so she can finish up with the closing ceremonies.
John Barclay. Please stand for the school song.
Let's all stand for the school song. We're going to sing both verses here. Sid, this is the first and third verse, but that's okay. Roxborough High has a great sports tradition, and our school song is a big important part of that. So let's all sing it together. Okay? Oh, Roxborough, we love thee. We will stand by thee through all. Oh, Roxborough, the beauteous school, we will never let thee fall. Roxborough High School, way up on the hill. All will hear her glory, echoed with a thrill. Shall we work with spirit for our high school? Roxborough we will. Oh, Roxborough will see thee as future years pass by, still holding as you're doing now a place of honor high. Our Roxborough High School, way up on the hill, all will hear her glory, echoed with a thrill. Shall we work with spirit for our high school? Roxborough we will.
George Eworth is going to come up and do the benediction for us. Reverend George.
Can we close in a word of prayer, please? Lord, thank you for this special evening that we've had together among family and friends at the Roxborough High School Hall of Fame banquet. Lord, may you grant us traveling mercies as we depart and go our own separate ways. In Jesus Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thanks for coming.
No, I need to thank people.
Okay, congratulations.
That
school was great. I don't know.
They were really.